потом. Так, теперь стрим. Так. Упс. Сейчас посмотрим, что оно запустилось.
Показывает, что да, все, мы на Фейсбуке.
Must be fine. Yeah, well, so now I can see us too. So, hello everybody. If there is anybody right now, hello everybody who is watching it later. My new guest is Nadine, product manager in fintech, and she has been working in English for several years already. So let's start with a brief introduction. So where are you from originally? Where are you based? What do you do?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Zhenya, and it's a pleasure to be here today. So yes, I'm Nadine, and I'm originally from Russia, from Volgograd. And I'm working currently as senior product manager at Pipro, that's fintech company, who helping to build infrastructure for other payment providers. That's my second job in Germany. Before that, I worked in InsurTech world. Currently I'm based in Berlin. Before that, I lived with my family a couple of years in Estonia, Tallinn, and before that in Moscow. And yeah, I was born in Volgograd, so that means like one of my hobby seems to be relocation. So.
Yeah, well, which one was the hardest? Was it the first one?
I don't know, to be honest, because every relocation is unique, because you have different family phases, different circumstances. So that's why I would say, for me, relocation to Berlin was the most complicated, I would say, just because of having a child brings another level of complexity, especially if that's preschool child. So changing country with a young child is pretty easy, but then it makes so the fact that your child should go to school, you should define what will be the main language in the family, or maybe not even in the family, but for the child. That's an important aspect, which brings another level of complexity. And our daughter already started to speak English in Estonia. And then we changed the country again, and she had to learn German very quickly because she's supposed to go in a year to the first grade, so that was another challenge for us. So
yeah, it must be. We are now going through this phase exactly. And at the same time, you started looking for a new job, right? For your first job in.
Yes, exactly. So, of course, not immediately, because relocation to Germany in general requires more preparation and more bureaucracy should be involved. It's not so easy if I should compare it with Estonia. In our case, I don't know, every case is unique. But yes, so not immediately, I would say, but once we settled key things up, so I started to search for a new job. But basically, I started to think about what sort of job should I search for, how market looks like, and what should be the language, because I was not so comfortable to join English-speaking company to this moment, because difference in the English level in Estonia is different from language level, which is required here in Germany. So that's also quite important. So this way, and what sort of position should I search for? So that was like also additional research, so that I had to run.
Yeah, it makes it a bit more complicated. I remember we started with the things that you did already know in Russian, and we studied the same things in English, just to get to grips with vocabulary and so on. It's a nice way. I still do it sometimes with some other students in different spheres.
Yeah, that was a great learning for me as well, and it really helped me, to like boost my knowledge. And yeah, thanks very much for for being my teacher for this period of time. You really support me very well.
It was a very important time. Now I can see it like being the mother of a preschool kid myself. I do realize how hard it was to kind of keep both those tracks in focus, like your own and hers. And
Yes.
then, well, what languages do you speak
Uh,
generally?
Very simple. I speak Russian, English, and German, so different levels, of
Mhm,
course. And I even stopped measure that in levels. It's like different personality and about my daily life or some, I call it operations, if I need to talk to house management company or to something like that, to doctors, I don't know, whatever area in life is impacted. So that's German. I
mhm.
speak German, but if it's work, it's mostly English. So if it's work-related topic, of course, that's English.
Yeah, it seems that it makes it easier. Like if you can separate the domains, the spheres, it makes it easier.
I,
Not to confuse the languages, like not to mix them up.
to be honest, I couldn't agree here. I think it's just nature of what sort of communication I had to run in which language. So here I had to communicate like, let's say, job-related topics mostly in English. So at my previous company, I had the chance to speak German and practice German just because I had several very important stakeholders with whom I had to communicate certain things in German sometimes because just they were not so comfortable at the beginning to discuss them in English. So, and that was very, very beneficial to me because I got a chance, to practice, and we still, with some of them, are good friends. But here at New Place, it's too diverse, and we have many people from Latam and less German speakers, and all communication is done in English, of course. So this why less chances to practice. But if I have a look to other areas in life, so that even in Berlin at school, people don't speak. I mean, even if they speak English, so they would not do that during all these official meetings we have, and so on, or at hospital or somewhere else, you have to speak German. So this is why the vocabulary is different. So.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it doesn't overlap most of the time. Speaking of your work communications, like what exactly is it? Like what types of communications, which patterns, scenarios? Is it a scenario, by the way? So are you kind of comfortable doing one and the same thing, like, I don't know, stand-ups or so? Or is it different every day, every time?
Um, I'll try to answer this question just because it's so different. So we're talking about some routine and like rituals in Scrum, right? So of course I'm very comfortable with it just because it's something what I'm doing every day. Usually it's predictable communication and I'm well prepared. Of course, at the beginning when I just started my career path in the English environment, English speaking environment, that was hard. I had to prepare daily, like, which is like, now, of course, I don't need to do it anymore. Luckily, I can just run meetings spontaneously, and that's not the topic. The most complex things now, of course, is communication of cross-domain dependency or resolving some conflicts or refining complex technical solution or presenting things to top management or to external clients or communicate properly with external companies who are providing services to us. What exactly do we want to achieve and how we think things should work for us, and all this type of communication. Of course, that's completely different level, and that's where, but it's even not about the language, it's more about the content and messages I have to deliver and the way how they have to be delivered, because different people used to communicate in different styles. So this is why it's important to know what will be the most efficient way to deliver your message to this particular group of people, depending on their, I don't know, business domains or just country of origin or culture
Mhm.
minds. and so on and so on. Yes, that's a challenge.
Yeah, the cultural thing. I remember you once recommended a book to me, which I am now reading, and it's a great one, The Culture Map by Erin Mayer. And she has a lot of cases, like a lot of funny circumstances, miscommunications, depending on the culture, if it is high context or low context, and some other details as well. So have you ever come across such a situation which you could not attribute to your language abilities or the interlocutor's language abilities, but it was rather a cultural clash or something?
Yes, 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 for sure. In Berlin, we are lucky enough to meet people from around the world. So, but it brings another level of complexity to communication and to communication style. At my previous place, we had people, somebody count, we had people from 34 countries or something like that. To be honest, I don't know about my current company, but still I see people from completely different part of the world. And for sure, so I can only recommend this book because on one hand, it gives you understanding about other culture and especially about this monoculture, right? Because we already have a lot of mixed people, and then it's very hard to say what is the culture mindset of this person, right? Because it's everything so mixed, but still it gives you at least some guidance and better understanding how to communicate, but it also gives understanding about your own style of communication. And that's why I really enjoyed reading that, because I discovered so many things about myself. And yes, I had a similar situation. For example, I have now manager from Latam region, and I see how different he communicates things. And during one of our feedback session, I explicitly asked him, hey, could you please be more explicit? Because I'm trying to read between lines, but it makes my life more complicated because I'm not sure whether I understood you properly. So let's try to be more transparent. I do not consider that as a rudeness, because it's normal for my home country to be more straightforward than in your country. So this way, if you can be a little bit more straightforward, for me, it will be easier to adapt to your communication style, and then we can improve our communication, and we will avoid all this misunderstanding between each other. And he was super happy to listen to this feedback, because I wasn't the first person who asked him to do that. And yeah, he also accepted that yes, sometimes he's trying to do things better, but just because of the nature of personality, that's very hard to do. And maybe we shouldn't change our personality too much, but just if you know this difference, then you can a little bit adapt your style, or at least kind of translate what people says to you to understand what is the message. Yeah. So this way, yeah, I faced a situation. I had similar situation, but from a different angle. We had people from north of Germany with completely different communication style, and I was about to feel offended, but no, that was not the case. It was just communication style, and if you compare it with a different styles, of course, it can sound a little bit more rude, but no, that's just a way how people used to communicate that. So yeah, this was
Mhm.
very helpful.
Um,
I can only recommend.
Getting back a little bit, when you first started studying languages, so which was your first foreign language, and is there any difference in the ways you studied German and English? Like what works best for you? So some language learning experiences, strategies, advice, perhaps.
Yes, this is German. I have this, for me, it's an unusual situation, because I started to learn it as a child at school, and we had very intensive courses. So this way, after I finished the school, I had a very high level of language, of course. I still use this vocabulary of teenagers. I call it like that. It's not like adult level, it's teenager level still, but that was a very good level with like I was able to, I don't know, read articles and I don't know, books, whatever it is. And I really enjoyed the language. Unfortunately, I didn't have chance to practice, and I had this 20 years of silence. I call it like that. I mean, I supported only with watching sometimes some movies, but not a lot because I just didn't have a chance to use it every day. But still, once we arrived to Germany, I was able to communicate with complex things, of course, with a lot of mistakes, and it was hard and it was challenging. But I would say the methodologies that our teachers use, they work because if I can remember still so many things, and I'm still doing that, I didn't have enough time to go to courses and to complete like something serious to refresh my knowledge. But still, I can communicate. I would say so. Yes, that was efficient enough for me. But with English, I have completely different story. I started to learn it more or less seriously after we moved to Tallinn. So, which is, I was already in my 30s, having a child, other duties, already not so flexible brain. So I'm sorry, I have to say it out loudly. So learning language when you are 7 years old is completely different story if you compare it to learning when you are 30 or 30 plus. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe it's not only about the age, but about being a new mom. So very much busy and overwhelmed with a lot of things to do. So like a lot of things competing for your focus.
Yeah, that's true. I think, of course, brain flexibility is different, but also that's question of priorities, time and money you're ready to invest into them. Because if you can invest enough time and money so you can spend 5 hours per day with any language, of course, there will be amazing progress, right? If you compare, like, what results do you have in 6 months? That's great, but reality is different, and normally people can invest, I don't know, it depends, but most probably majority of us are spending 2 hours per week, right? So like
Mm.
2 times with teacher, that's the maximum that people can afford. And it usually doesn't work. So, right. So, I mean, it works, it's better than nothing, but it doesn't work in terms of, it doesn't meet people expectations because
Yeah, that's the good point. Like
that
you want yourself to progress faster.
exactly. People expect that in 6 months they will start speaking fluently, and then in 6 months it usually doesn't
Doesn't happen.
happen.
Totally
And
not.
people start with maybe teacher is wrong, maybe something
Mm.
wrong, maybe I'm
No.
stupid, and so on, and it leads to disappointments. But no, it's just not enough time to start speaking and start feeling comfortable with the language. And I think that's important to accept.
What
And
did you do? Like, how did you overcome all those obstacles?
that was a very hard path, and I did a lot of experiments. I tried to find thing that works better for me, and then at some point I realized that sometimes it's also important to stop learning and start doing. So I don't want to say that learning is not necessary. No, it's very important because learning gives you support and this base that you can use. But many people think, okay, I still have to learn everything, and then I can start acting. I understood that it doesn't work this way because it's impossible to learn the language. I think that's very important. The language is a live organism, or I don't know, you can name it as you want, but it's something what evolves, and things that are written now in the books, they already not relevant because people already speak a little bit differently, right? So
Mhm.
possible.
Yeah, this in vitro learning, something
Yeah,
that came to
yes.
my mind.
And the biggest disappointment for me, and not the biggest one, but still, I was always like, when I search for new possibility to learn language, I need the business English. Could you please help me with this aspect? Because I need I don't know, to go through interviews, or I need to work in the English. I don't need to learn everything. I'm not going to read the books, so I'm going to work. And then, of course, everyone tried to find good books, and you've opened the books, there are examples how people run the meetings. If you have a look at this book, it doesn't happen like that. So never. The reality is different, and very important for me was to start acting, to start using the language in a real environment. and I started to join different communities, started to read comments, tried to answer to someone's questions. I started to join different webinars related to my area, to my industry, first to listen and observe, and of course later I also started to participate. I don't know, like many experiments. Things that helped me a lot, of course, podcasts, but that was long path to find what podcasts I really want to listen. So because I felt that I want to listen something related to product management, I realized I cannot do it anymore. So that's too much of product management in my life, and in general, a lot of things from IT industry. I realized no, I cannot do it. And then I found different things that I really was interested to, but it also took time just to find out what actually I want to listen to. And I started my day. It was a nice period of time, and I started my day with walking in the morning and 30 minutes of podcasts, which I enjoyed a lot. But again, it's like during different phases, people need different things. Sometimes it's just podcast, sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's reading and writing. I love writing, for example. For me, worked very well when I take a few sentences from the book and just write them down because I just love writing. So that's what I'm doing even during interviews and so on. I'm always writing. So another thing that helped me, that's also like movies. I know many people say it doesn't work because it's still not active exercise, it's more passive exercise. But if you don't have energy to do something else, why not, right? So there are so many different things that people can do. And I just experimented and realized that, okay, at some point I have to join the interviews, I have to go through that. That was painful because, of course, first interviews I failed. And my very first interview was in Estonia and Tallinn, and I even cried after one because I really loved the position, and that was a very hard homework challenge that I had to do. And I've done it perfectly, and I got a very positive feedback about it, but I was not able to present it properly. And of course, it was very sad because I understood that, okay, I just need 3 months in English speaking environment and I can handle that. Company wasn't ready to wait for those 3 months, and company wasn't ready to invest into that. So this why, unfortunately, so I failed. But important thing also was to learn that, okay, it's important to fail earlier, to learn from this
Mhm.
fail. Because
Fail
after,
fast.
yeah, fail fast. This like mindset is very important for that because then you know better what questions you will be asked, what is important, how people behave. And that's even more important than just the language, because what scared me personally, I think it wasn't language itself. It was more like communication strategy and frameworks that people use during this communication. So this way, I would keep saying that people just have to start bringing their theoretical knowledge to the real world and learn from real practice.
Mhm. Yeah, that was my next question, as a matter of fact, and you have answered it already, like this take-home message for those who are hesitating, whether they should already start applying for jobs and getting interviews and so on. So the last one would be if you would like to learn any other languages, any more languages, and which ones?
I don't know, to be honest, because I still have to improve my German significantly. That's one of the goal I have for the next year. I really want to be fluent in this language so that I can also use it in my daily life in more comfortable way. And also, I want to be able to work in this language. And I just in general, I like this language. I know that it's not that everyone's likes, and many people think that it's too complicated, it sounds rude or something else. But no, I really enjoy that. But then who knows? I personally really in love with Spanish, and I learned that when I was a student, and I was even able to speak. But then I completely forgot that, unfortunately, just again because I didn't have chance to use it. But yeah, let's see. So the life sometimes is giving you surprises, right? Who knows what else we might need to learn. Yes. That's why I'm open to new languages, and I think it brings you a lot of in your life because together with language you learn the culture, right? So, and that's one of the most interesting thing in the world.
That's true. That's really the case. And language is a tool which helps us delve into all those mysteries that fascinate us. Thank
Exactly.
you. Thank you so much. It's
Thank you
been
too.
it's been fast and really nice to hear from you.
Yeah, that's very nice, end of the day, having this interview. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much, and good luck to everyone who only starting their path with language.
Yeah, if you have any questions, if you happen to come up with those later on, you can always just write it in the comment section and we will read it together and answer it. Like every question that you have. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.